Hello guys, welcome to another TBB59C video. This is the first video of this new podcast. I will read the book called The Sinking of the Bismarck, The Deadly Hunt by William Shirer. Okay, Chapter 3, First Battle. The Bismarck sinks the hood. The battle was all over in exactly 17 minutes. At the outset, Vice Admiral Holland ordered the Hood to fire at the wrong ship. He mistook the German cruiser Prinz Eugen for the battleship Bismarck and directed the opening 15-inch gun salvos of his flagship against the smaller enemy vessel. The captain of the Prince of Wales realized the mistake at once and disregarded the admiral's signal to follow suit. Instead, he aimed his 14-inch guns immediately at the Bismarck, but his turrets were new and untried, and his first shots landed wide of the target. Vice Admiral Holland had put his two battleships at a disadvantage from the moment the engagement began. 2 minutes after sighting the German squadron, he had turned his ships directly towards the enemy to shorten their range. The result was that the 4 rear guns on each of the British battleships could not fire. Only the 4 turrets pointing toward the Germans could be used. Admiral Lutyens, on the other hand, steered a course so that all of his 8 heavy guns could bear on the enemy. He had the British ships turn their full broadsides on him. They would have had the advantage of 18 big guns against his 8. There was 10 guns on the Prince of Wales and 8 on the Hood. As it was, only the 6 forward cannon of the Prince of Wales and the 4 of the Hood could be deployed. This reduced the British advantage to only 10 heavy guns pointed against the Germans' 8. And after the first shot, one of the Prince of Wales' forward guns was unable to fire further. Thus, Vice Admiral Holland's superiority was reduced to a mere 9-8. The Prince of Wales, under fire from the Bismarck. Since the German gunnery proved to be much more accurate than the British, this was not much of an advantage. In fact, not only the Bismarck, but also the small Prinz Eugen, with her guns of only 8-inch caliber, soon found the range. Concentrating her fire on the Hood, the Prinz Eugen scored a hit in less than a minute with an 8-inch shell. It caused a large fire to break out near the Hood's mainmast. Observers on the British cruisers Suffolk and Norfolk saw the flames spread forward and leap high above the upper deck. Then the fire seemed to subside. The pair of shadowing British cruisers, which had found the Bismarck, were holding back to let the British battleships finish her. They took no part in the battle. Why they were not directed to join in remains a mystery. With the Bismarck and Prinz Eugen fully occupied by the British heavy ships, why did not Vice Admiral Holland instruct the Suffolk and the Norfolk to move in from the opposite quarter and engage the Germans with their 8-inch guns? The Prinz Eugen's 8-inch guns had drawn first blood against the mighty Hood. Also, the British cruisers might have launched torpedoes against the foe, but throughout the brief battle, the Suffolk and Norfolk remained aloof. Disaster now struck swiftly at the British. Both sides had opened fire at 5:52 a.m. 3 minutes later, Vice Admiral Holland finally gave the order of his 2 ships to turn 20 degrees to port away from the Germans. This would enable them to employ their aft guns and fire broadsides at the enemy from all their big cannon. The move came too late, as the British battleships veered around. The salvo from the Bismarck hit the Hood midships. Observers on both sides saw a scene that they had never before looked upon at sea. Between the 2 funnels of the Hood, there suddenly a volcanic flame that erupted skyward for 1,000 feet. Then in a second or two it burned out, and the dense smoke settled over the seas. For a moment the wind seemed to part it, and through the smoke could be seen the severed bow of the stern of the great ship jutting high in the sea, like 2 mammoth sharks. Then they sank below the waves. Every high officer in the British Navy had known that the mighty battle cruiser had an Achilles heel. There was a chink in its armor between the funnels. Years before, the Admiralty had decided to correct this, but for one reason or another, the job had been postponed. When the war had come, there was no time. Thus it was at precisely 4 minutes to 6 o'clock on the morning of May 24th, 1941, just 4 minutes after the battle had begun, a 15-inch shell from the Bismarck hit the hood in its weakest spot. It pierced through half a dozen decks to the magazine, where it exploded among 300 tons of high-explosive shells. Out of a crew of 1,419, only 3 men were picked up alive: Vice Admiral Holland, Captain Ralph Kerr, and all the rest went down with the ship. Thank you for watching this video. There will be more podcast episodes in the future. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you later, guys, in the next video. Bye-bye!